time no see at fractaltrading.com. Looking at trend following, we haven't been updating since or for 5 weeks now. A couple of new developments that have or that are supporting our trend following positions in at least a couple of underlyings. We did see a stop out, successful stop out so far this year in the British pound Australian, which was a downtrend that was gone at some point. We had some fading stuff in gold and silver as they keep moving to the side. All the breakouts are failing there. We were short some euro pairs a couple of months back. Those failed as well. So in trend following, you will get a lot of failing positions, one after the other actually, because all the stuff that doesn't get going, you just want to get rid of, because you don't want to hold on to your losers, hoping that they would come back. What you want to do is you want to hold on to your winners, and that's what we're doing. And that's why after a while, you're just left with a couple of positions that are working, while others that hadn't been working in the past, you just quit. Now, taking a look here at the S&P, as you can see, it is still running in a uptrend. We were looking at penetrating the balance zone right here, which is simply looking at internal support where this trend that had been going on is breathing. It comes back to the balance zone. That's always where it wants to be. If there are no new incoming information, that's where the price would be if there was no new incoming information. If you want to know more on that, you have to watch my trend following approach explained video. Anyway, the trend keeps on moving, so we will only see price touching the green line here, not really going deeper in this continuous move. Depending on what kind of character the trend you're looking at has, you will get something like this, or the Nikkei will show you a dip much further back down to the blue line and then continuing up. Now, the breakouts have been marked. The first one failed. You are stopped out in here below that fractal right there. You take another long and you have been in ever since, and the market continues up. I have people now writing me messages on Twitter saying that market won't go up, the top is in, and you gotta be stupid to still be long or bullish these markets. But so many weeks, one after the other here in this trend, you can see that we're closing higher. Even the monthly chart now for the month of May finished so positive. Just look at this whole trend correcting, and after it had been correcting here inside that balance zone, it keeps on moving higher, very strong, very very much moving forward with a lot of momentum building up as well. So why people doubt this going up more throughout 2017, I have no clue. Trend following in this is awesome right now, and at this point we can switch over to the Nikkei because we do have some awesome moves in here as well. Remember, we were talking about the Nikkei. Let me just we were talking about the Nikkei coming up, I'm sorry, from this region down here. It moved up, and here it took quite a long pause. All of those candles here with these long wicks actually indicate that the trend could have a characteristic like we just saw in the S&P, because you have the green line being support, being internal Fibonacci levels, where the price after this trend wants to breathe, wants to come back to, because that's where it finds enough orders for this market to come up, enough stops for shorts, that people taking shorts in here getting stopped out. So you would be waiting, you would be holding, and you would actually be assuming that the trend continues after it has made these lows. But that didn't happen. You did see a higher high here just above this fractal. This fractal was higher than this one, which means you have a kind of a breakout situation, a continuing breakout situation where this move to the upside is continued. However, it failed. You have the market being short. However, since there is no fractal inside the balance zone in this area, our stops were right down here. The fractal here has formed. Now our stops are right there, quite far away from the current price, but we are now hitting new highs in the Nikkei after we have failed inside the balance zone. Now, you can see how far the price can stretch down. It can even come further. At some point, of course, we are protecting our position. We do not take a loss after we've been up so much. But we are giving the market the room in this trend following thing where we are waiting for the fractal inside the balance zone. We do not set a stop somewhere just, anywhere. I'm always waiting for that fractal. Sometimes you get stopped out at break even, everything is lost, but sometimes you're in for the big move. And this could happen here in the Nikkei as we are failing to go lower at this point. We are now breaking fractals to the upside. This here had been quite the resistance area here, right there at 20,000. The market failed the first time when it came down here. When it came up the second time, it took 3 weeks for it to breach. Now, it hasn't been until yesterday that the market went higher, but we are closing here. We're just about to close for the week really high, very strong momentum coming up again. We have no reason to quit our long positions, and you're now here in a mode where you can add on to your longs that you took down here. I'm not going to talk about how to add on, that's really your issue, because that involves a lot of risk management, a lot of calculation, and knowing what you want from a trend, how long you want to stay in, how far, and how much you want to go. Now, Nikkei, really awesome. I have been talking about it since November, since this has been hit here, and let's see if it unfolds. And of course, you gotta have some time. You gotta hold on to these positions for a year and a half now. That's really what we're talking about here. Maybe I could just mention the importance of this scenario. When you look on the monthly chart in the Nikkei, what you really see if you zoom out is this huge trend to the upside, this deep, deep, deep correction for 30 years going on. But look at where we are now. If there is really a move going on the weekly where momentum is building and we're really starting to move, now what that means is we have power to move through all of these fractals that you can see scattered over the last 20 years, 25 years. So if we break out of this base, then the next target is these old highs. Of course, we're not going to reach it in just one move probably, but a huge, huge bull market could unfold here. Now, there will be people who say this is the top, these are tops, and we will find a lot of people quitting longs, exiting longs, and selling. But with a lot of momentum, we can just break through, And as a trend follower, that's what we do. That's what we're in the market for. Now, not a whole lot of going on in the forex space at the moment. We do have positions in euro dollar where we can see, and we gotta take this to the monthly first, so that makes sense just to fresh up our memory here. What we have is this whole side move being broken to the downside. We have the market staying below the alligator, the balance zone, for quite a long time. However, we do not see the market building up momentum. We do not see the market successful after breaking the previous lows before it went into this whole correction mode. As you can see in the momentum indicator, momentum is decreasing here, which means breaking these lows and not building up momentum is not a good sign for a continuation of what has been quite the nice move here. At some point, you just got to notice that if these fractals are broken, the price is making new lows, and it doesn't get going, it always zooms back into the balance zone. At some point, a divergence will be obvious, which we see in the weekly chart. We have the huge move down, we have the ongoing correction which stays below the balance zone on the monthly. We have breakout, we were short here, and the market didn't continue to go. We have a fractal inside the balance zone, so we stop out, and the market gives us this huge divergence here in the momentum indicator. As you can see, the blue line here, the blue line there, price is lower, the momentum indicator is not, failed breakouts, and now we see the market going up. We have talked about early long positions in the last couple of videos that I posted 5-6 weeks ago, so you know that we are long in here. However, you really gotta watch your risk management when the price overall is just trading into the balance zone. Now, this is not the time where you will see the price just moving out like it does here. Usually you get price moving higher, you get a fractal, it corrects, doesn't go lower than here, and then comes out. This is a very early long, and you really got to know what you're looking for and looking at when you do this. Now, Euro Yen is looking a little bit better when it comes to the overall time frame, even though this week hasn't been that great. When you look at the overall time frame, you see a failed down move. It did move down, but didn't make new lows like we expected once this broke through this area here, the fractal at 126. However, we do get a move back into the balance zone, fractal created, and now we fail to go lower. Now, as the price moves down and comes up, usually the balance zone acts as resistance, and you will see after this price continuing down. But it fails. It gives us 3 weeks ago this huge candle here, and now it is higher. It has even broken this fractal, which is a valid buy point if you would be trading the monthly chart, which we're not. But overall, this is actually a breakout into a new trend direction. So being long here on the weekly above this fractal is the best thing to do, and manage your risk. Have your stop right below the balance zone and just see where it goes. You can also trade this shorter term on the daily chart and internal moves on the 4 hour, but bigger time frames are bigger trends, even though you do have to wait a little bit longer. Now, I mentioned gold on Twitter today. As you can see, gold huge move to the downside, turning around. We are up the upside the balance zone. We have never been this far up the balance zone in all of this time here. And now we can assume that after this move down, but failing to go lower than here, the absolute low of this whole move down, we have turned around. This is the initial move that will send prices higher overall as well on the monthly. So now we are looking to take fractals to buy this, to be in as soon as we can when the market tells us that it wants to move higher. Now this has failed already because we have the first fractal here, and we were taking it, and then we were stopped out when the price came lower. We had the stop just below the balance zone, and we were stopped out. Now for the last 3 weeks, price has turned around again, and it's approaching it's approaching that old high here that it made after triggering this long position. And now, of course, we follow the market, so we got to take this entry, so that's what we'll do, and we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, then we'll lose 0.5% of the account, and that's absolutely all right. If you just look at how this market could move out, hit these breakouts, and then unfold to the upside, even though um, we don't know if that is a realistic scenario, just like we don't know if the indices will continue for forever now. It's just that we follow whatever the market presents, whatever opportunity is there, and all the rest is up to the market. We can only manage the risk and manage the orders, put in the orders, and exit when the market tells us, and that's all that we can control. And we just got to take the entries, and even if it seems stupid, if you just take the entry again and take the entry again, it may seem stupid, but at some point, even if you're stopped out 3 times, you lose 1.5% of your equity, and the trend moves, and you have the possibility to make 5% or to make 6% or something like that. So that's good odds, and that's what we're aiming for when we trade these long-term charts and these long-term time frames. Now that's it. That's what I see in the markets here for the week, and we'll see each other again in a little while.